Yeah, because those lights are too much. Gianty's troubling me again. That's true. I'm getting used to it now after 10 plus years. Okay. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Govinda.
So continuing our reading of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, chapter 19, entitled The Lord Instructs Srila Rupa Swami. So now we're on the topic of Dasya Rasa. So the rasa or relationship of, oh, sorry, we've gone to Sakya Rasa. Yeah, from Dasya Rasa to Sakya Rasa. So now we're on the relationship of friendship. So equality. Friends are like equals. So Dasya Rasa is like servant and master. Krishna is the master and the devotee is the servant. So is superior, inferior there. But Sakya Rasa is more equality, a relationship with more equality there. So I remember definitely we read 220. Did we go any further? Did we do 221? Or we just did 220?
I don't remember either. I think we go around 2. Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Yeah, we'll do 221. We'll do 221.
Remember, but after that, I don't 214. Past it, I guess. Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, I can quickly say. So anyway, 220, what we did last week.
Yep. Okay.
Just recapping on that.
Oh, yeah.
So in the Dasya Rasa, there's knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but with awe and veneration.
Yeah. Okay.
Dasya Rasa. Oh no, it's still reading on Dasya Rasa. No. No, we've gone further. No.
Talks about.
We were on Sakya Rasa, weren't we? We definitely were on Sakya Rasa.
I think we were still in Dasya Rasa.
Oh, we were still in Dasya. Oh, that's where I got myself mixed up.
Yes.
Oh, we haven't. Okay, I've jumped ahead. I've got excited and jumped ahead. So no, we were on Shanta Rasa and we've just got on to Dasya Rasa. That's correct. Yep. Okay, now I've got my bearings. Okay.
I think we are in 222.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about Shanta Rasa. So the main difference is that in Shanta Rasa, there's no service. There's no service. But when you come to Dasya Rasa, this servitude, servant and master, then there is service, but with awe and reverence or veneration. And that service, the servant, the devotee, the das means servant. So that servant giving service to the Lord gives great happiness to the Lord, is giving him constant happiness. The Lord enjoys that service. And as we were saying, you know, when the Lord is happy, then the devotee becomes happy automatically. That's the byproduct. When Krishna's happy, then we automatically become happy. Everyone in the material world, everyone's looking for happiness, but we don't care about God's happiness, and therefore we don't find it. So we're looking for happiness, but we don't find the real happiness. Everyone's, not satisfied. They're always looking for something more and more and more. But in the spiritual world, then everyone is trying to make Krishna happy. Everyone's trying to make Krishna happy. And all the rasas, they're trying to make Krishna happy in different ways. And the automatic result, the byproduct of that is that everyone is completely satisfied. Everyone's completely satisfied. Everyone's completely happy. So even the blade of grass in the spiritual world is completely satisfied as being a blade of grass. It doesn't think, oh, I wish I was this or that. I wish I was a gopi or something like that. They're completely satisfied just being a blade of grass. And the service they're rendering is, Krishna's putting his lotus feet on his head. So we're getting the dust of Krishna's feet and Krishna's devotees on that grass, and giving nice soft grass for Krishna and the devotees to walk on. So they're completely satisfied, completely in ecstasy. Mm. Does anyone want to say anything about anything we spoke about last week? It's all good. Okay, and you think we read 221, the qualities of Shantaras also present in Dasyaras, but service is added. Thus, the Dasyarasa platform contains the qualities of both Shantarasa and Dasyarasa. So can anyone tell me the qualities of Shantarasa?
I think they are attached to the Brahman, and they try to remove their material desires. I think that those two qualities.
Yeah, they're completely detached from material desires, and they're attached to the Brahman Paramatma like that. But their existence is mainly in terms of theoretical knowledge. They have a lot of knowledge, but no relationship yet. The relationship starts with Dasyaras. But they have a lot of knowledge of the Brahman of Paramatma like that. And they're completely withdrawn their senses from material enjoyment, from sense gratification. No sex, drugs, rock and roll. Eat, drink, and be merry for those in Shantaras. Their enjoyment is more on that mental platform, with knowledge, cultivating knowledge. There's an enjoyment actually you get from cultivating knowledge. There's an enjoyment from that, they're called gyanis. So gyanis, karmis means they're enjoying with their senses, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And the gyanis, they're disgusted with that kind of enjoyment. They realize that doesn't really work. So they've gone more into the mental sense gratification, enjoying on that mental platform like that. And so there's a lot of knowledge there. So, but Dasyarasa is the first point where the service begins, where the service is added. So then, Jayanti, you've got something boiling on the stove. It's boiling quite a lot. So you've got that detachment from material desires and attachment to God. And then on top of that, in Dasyarasa, you've added service. Okay, we can read 222. Shantira guna dasyera sevana this is a long one. Shantira guna dasyera sevana sakye doihoya dasyera sambrama gaurava seva sakye vishvasamaya.
Shantir guna dashir sevana sakye duihaya dashir sambrama gaurava seva sakye vishwasa. The qualities of Shantras and the service of Dasyaras are both present on the platform of Zakyaras. On the platform of fraternity, the qualities of Dasya are mixed with confidence of fraternity instead of awe and veneration.
Mm. Mm. Okay, so now we're talking about Sakyarasa. So having that friendly relationship. Sakya means friend. Like one good example of a devotee in Sakyarasa is like Arjuna. Arjuna's in Sakyarasa. A good example of Dasyarasa is Hanuman, and that was mentioned before. Hanuman, servant of Lord Ram, whereas Arjuna is a friend of Krishna, equals like that. Mm. So in Sakyarasa, you've got the detachment from the material, attachment to God, and service. And then on top of that, well, not really on top of that, but a different kind of service. So in Dasiras, the service was with great respect, and awe and veneration like that. You've got a master, you're serving you know that he's superior to you. Now with Sakyarasa friendly, then it's changed. You've got service, but without that awe and reverence and respect. And now it's just pure friendship, just like with an equal. So like it's mentioned here, with confidence of fraternity, confidence of fraternity instead of awe and veneration. Vishvasamaya. Yeah. So they're confident. What does that mean? Confident of fraternity. My understanding of that would be, to say it in a different way, is they're confident that he's my friend, that he's my friend, so they've got great confidence in that Krishna's my best friend, he's gonna help me out when I need help. Like they say, a friend in need is a friend indeed. So they're confident Krishna's never gonna let me down. He's always gonna be there for me. And I'll always be there for him because it's, friendship is both ways, right? They're equals. So, we're going to have a good time together and he's going to help me, I'm going to help him. So it's friends are like that. So fraternity means, a relationship of friendship. So, and they're very confident with that friendship, very confident. It was interesting talking about being confident reminds me of Krishna going out with his friends, the cowherd boys. You can read that in the 10th canto in Krishna book. One time they went out with their lunch boxes and that to go out and herd the cows, and there was a big snake in the road, like seriously big one, like 8 miles long, Agasura. So Agasura was in the road, and his mouth was wide open, and the top of his mouth reached the clouds. So he was really big. He was a friend of Kamsa that was out to, kill all the children, because they were trying to find out who this eighth child of Devaki was that was going to kill Kamsa. So they were just killing all the children because they weren't sure exactly which one it was. So they were out to get all of them. So first of all, the coward boys were trying to figure out, they were speculating, what is this huge thing in the road? And they had different ideas about what it was. And eventually they realized that really looks like a huge, like, snake. But they weren't afraid because they were confident that Krishna would look after them. So they all walked in. The whole lot of them, like thousands of boys, were so confident that Krishna will look after them that even though they realized, I think this is a big snake, but they just confidently walked into his mouth. And then it's mentioned that Krishna was momentarily like bewildered of what to do. Because what happened is the snake then was waiting for Krishna to come inside, and then but Krishna didn't come inside. So the snake closed his mouth on all of his friends. And then at that point, it's mentioned that Krishna was momentarily sort of bewildered what to do. But that not that he was actually bewildered, but that was actually Krishna was enjoying that experience of seeming to be bewildered. And also he was appreciating his Maya, his illusory energy, appreciating how amazing is the his own illusory energy. So Krishna was relishing that experience. And then he came up with a plan that oh actually no it's no yeah the demon didn't close his mouth, but all the friends had walked in. Yeah, so the demon was still keeping his mouth open and waiting for Krishna to come in. Yeah, that's correct. And then so then Krishna walked in, and then the demon closed his mouth. But then Krishna expanded himself and 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 also I think increased his temperature, his heat. So he became very hot and very big, and he like blocked up Aghasura's throat, and then he couldn't breathe. He got asphyxiated, I think you call that. And then his eyes like popped out and everything. So he was a goner. But because the boys had all been inside the guts of this huge monster snake, they all died. But then, so when the demon died, then Krishna he just glanced over them all and brought them back to life. And they all went, "Yay, Krishna saved us! Yeah, Krishna's our cool friend. He's really knows how to take care of us and everything." So that's what I mean. They're just so confident. They're like fearless, completely fearless that we have the best friend, the most strongest, coolest friend that's, has comes up with all these amazing games and amazing pastimes, and he protects us in amazing ways and everything. So they are just always glorifying they've got this real cool friend, Krishna, and he's just wonderful. Mm.
To how Prabhupada was sitting on the terrace thinking, oh, if the bomb comes and kills, it's okay. I mean, of course, here
Yeah.
they're thinking the boys are just thinking, oh, Krishna's going to protect us.
Mm.
But a devotee is thinking, even if Krishna wants to kill me, then that's also okay because that's Krishna. And I'm with Krishna always.
Mm.
So, and like Prabhupada was sitting eating his prasadam, even the bombs were falling around him. He doesn't was thinking of Krishna.
Mm.
Yeah. Rakhe Krishna, Mare Krishna, Rakhe.
Mm. So Johnny's talking about a pastime with Prabhupada earlier on, before ISKCON began, when he was a family man. And this was during the Second World War time in India. He was there. And sometimes the air raid sirens would go. Not that I think they dropped too many bombs or whatever there, but still there was a fear that, the enemy planes might come anytime and like that. So they had air raid sirens going sometimes. So at that time, everyone's supposed to go down to their bunkers or attics or whatever like that. So Prabhupada was sitting on the roof having prasadam. In India, that's quite common. They have flat roofs, which are actually really useful to have a flat roof. You can do a lot more with it if you've got a flat roof. So they would often, like if it was too hot at night, they would sleep on the roof. Or like that, it's just a nice space, fresh air if you're going to have lunch during the day or whatever like that, and make use of that space. So he was doing that. And the sirens went off, and his wife came out saying, hubby, come, let's go to a safe place, and Prabhupada refused. Saying that, if Krishna wants to kill me, then, let him do that. He said, I will see that bomb. I will see that bomb as Krishna. Because the devotee sees everything as Krishna. Everything is Krishna's energy. So if he wants to kill me, then that's the best thing to do. So like she's saying, you know, the devotee's like fearless, that Krishna is in complete control. Whatever he arranges is perfectly fine. So yeah, these friends of Krishna, they are greatly confident in Krishna's friendship. That I'm always going to be looked after and protected and going to have a good time with my best friend. Does anyone want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I was just wondering, it says Dasyaras are mixed with the confidence of, I mean, they still knew that he was superior to them or something, and then still have the, Sakhiras or friendly behavior. So the story you told us just now actually shows that Krishna is going to protect me inside the mouth of snake as well. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
so they knew that he is kind of, they knew the qualities of Krishna, that oh, he's got more than what we have or something, he's got more power than us. The sentence says something like this, isn't it? Dasyaras mixed with confidence. So how they were serving in terms of Dasyaras to him, but it's just,
Well, I mean, Dasyarasa is there in terms of it doesn't matter what relationship you have with Krishna, but there's an attitude of service. So that attitude of service never goes away. So whether you're a friend, still you want to serve Krishna, even though you think you're equals. Even though there's a concept that we're like equals, it means like also they're the same age. So these are boys in Vrindavan that were the same age as Krishna. Say if he was 8, then these boys are all 8. You know, they're all around 8 or not, 7, 8, 9. They're around the same age like that. And because of that, also they're thinking they're equally good at sports and running and all these kind of things like that, playing games and stuff like that. So there's a feeling of equality there, but there's always that underlying attitude that I want to serve Krishna. And even we're going to go on to Vatsalya parental, but they even though they're parents of Krishna, but they just want to serve Krishna. And even if you move on to Madhurya or Sringaras, the conjugal love, then you're the girlfriend of Krishna or the wife of Krishna, but you just want to serve Krishna. So it doesn't matter what rasa you're in, that quality of dasya rasa, of giving service, that's there in all of them. Does that make sense?
yeah, I think, yeah, I mean,
However, that
they
awe and veneration that has
are,
transformed into a feeling of equality, of more equality of friendship rather than like I'm dealing with a superior. So I'm in Dasyaras, you're conscious that Krishna's superior to you, and then and you render service to Krishna. Whereas in Sakyaras, you're conscious that Krishna's my friend, he's like equal, and you're rendering service to him. And in Vatsalyaras, parental, you're conscious that Krishna's junior to you and you're rendering service to him. And in Madhurya Rasa, you're conscious that Krishna's my lover, my beloved, and I'm rendering service to him. So there's different flavors of that service like that. Does that make sense? You want to say anything about that?
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
But I don't know if that's what Narendra is asking, but when the boys walked into the mouth of the snake,
Yeah.
and they knew Krishna was going to look after them, is that because they knew that Krishna was special powers as their friend, or is that what you meant, Narendra? No. How did they know that if they
Well,
don't know Krishna?
it wasn't because they were thinking that he's a supreme personality of Godhead, we're going to walk in his mouth. So they're
Yeah.
not thinking that. They're
No.
thinking they're thinking he's a really cool friend. He's like
Okay.
he can do amazing things.
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just in terms of a friend,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
not in terms that I'm dealing with Bhagavan or God or anything like that. They're
Okay.
not
Yeah.
thinking that because that would spoil the relationship. And immediately that puts everyone into, just dasya rasa or in veneration. But remember, Krishna doesn't want that all the time. Doesn't want that. It's just like we don't want our relationships to only be like in a working environment. Because in a working environment, it's all that awe and respect and veneration, but it's not completely satisfying, is it? If that was the only relationship you ever had, was like, boss and employee, oh, excuse me, sir, madam, please, thank you, sorry, and all this kind of stuff, and just that kind of formal kind of relationships. If that's all we had, it'd be pretty boring, So the person likes to come home after work and just be with the kid, hang out with the kids, hang out with a partner, and stuff like that.
Please, thank you, sorry.
Sorry, Pastor.
Johnny's joking at what I said. Please, thank you, sorry.
Because he always goes on about, oh, please, thank you, sorry. And then I say, what? Please, thank you, sorry.
Oh, you two are funny.
Being extra polite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in India,
because she points out that in India there's no please, thank you, sorry.
I mean, it's not that there is no please, thank you, and sorry, but there is a different way of expressing it.
Acha.
Yeah.
Just like the Dasyaras is, it's not dominant here in the Sakyaras. The fraternity is more dominant, but inherently, I mean, in the background, I think they are aware that he's better than us. He will, it's not forefront of their mind, but they have that feeling that he's going to protect us or something.
Well, I mean, it gets a bit more complicated too. There's actually many levels within Sakyaras, there's different hierarchy of different kind of friendships. It's not just one kind of friendship. But yeah, and a lot of those friendship relationships, they really do think they're on the same level as Krishna. And like I mentioned, they'll play a game and sometimes Krishna's side loses. And the punishment for losing is you have to carry the winners on your back. So Krishna's got one of his friends, one of his so-called friends, riding on his back. And I guarantee the friend would not be riding on his back if he had any idea that he's God. You get what I'm saying? So definitely they're not thinking that he's God. That's going to spoil that game. But Krishna enjoys that. He wouldn't have that person on his back if he wasn't enjoying it. But he enjoys that. It's because it's so sweet. It's so sweet, so intimate like that. I mean, Prabhupada tells us pastime, which really explains it very well, this point. That there was this big English politician. Like he mentions the name, I can't remember the name. Big English politician. And this other big guy had an appointment with him, and he's waiting outside of his room, and but the politician's not coming. So it's like, 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, half an hour, 1 hour, and the guy's like, come on, why can't you just keep waiting? So he goes and like just carefully opens the door, and this big man, big politician, has got his grandchild riding on his back, and he's on his hands and knees. He's on his hands and knees like a horse. So he's become the horse for his grandkid. And is that like punishment, or he doesn't like that? No, that's enjoyment for him. That's enjoyable and much more enjoyable. That's why he forgot about his appointment with this other big politician. So he didn't give a stuff about his appointment with the other politician. He'd much rather be a horse for his grandkid. So there's so much sweetness and just intimacy and happiness that comes from that. He's a big person. And I tell you what, also, is his grandkid thinking, oh, he's a big politician. He's very important. No, he's just thinking he's my grandpa. That's what grandpas do. Be a horse for their kid, grandkid. He's not thinking, oh, he's a very important man and I'm riding on his back. No, he's not, definitely the grandkid's not going to think like that. So just in the same way, Krishna's friends are not thinking that, oh, he's the supreme person of Godhead and I'm riding on his back. No, they're not thinking that. He's just thinking he's my friend. And this time I won. In another time they'll lose and Krishna will be on their back. Like that. So that's why it's going back and forth and all different flavors like that. And Krishna's enjoying it all. And they're all the friends are enjoying it all too. But there's always an attitude of service. They always want to please Krishna. So they're thinking, I'm riding on Krishna's back, and Krishna's enjoying it. They know that. They wouldn't do it if Krishna was unhappy. No one would do anything that makes Krishna unhappy. Their purpose in life, whatever the rasa, if you're the servant, you want to make the master happy. If you're the friend, you want to make your friend happy. If you're the parent, you want to make your child happy. If you're the lover, you want to make the beloved happy. So their motto, their whole motto, their whole life is we just want to please Krishna. How they're doing it is a different relationships. But everyone has that same central point. Everyone wants to serve Krishna. They want to make him happy. They want to please him through different kinds of services like that. And then there's just unlimited services. How you want to serve him, well, then you've got different rasas. So you can serve in so many different ways. And then Krishna likes that variety, not just serve him in one way, but you can serve him unlimited ways. Cool.
One thing struck me that in those days, even these big people had such relationships and all. But I feel as this age is progressing, uh, nobody's got time for their family. Not, I shouldn't say nobody, but generally people don't have time for their family or their grandchildren or whatever like that.
So we're actually, the advancement in modern society is where it's advancing towards impersonalism.
Yeah.
Becoming more and more impersonal. We've got more and more gadgets and technology and everything, but the result is, that we're becoming more and more impersonal. And they're trying to make men into women, make women into men, like that, in terms of all the education and everything. And we're a bit confused about who we are. Am I a man or a woman or what am I? And what is it, LGBT? I'm so confused about that term. So is lesbian and gay and blah, 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 transvestite and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's just the age we're living in, that people are so confused and the relationships have become very weakened by that, that and more we think the happiness comes from material things. Whereas actually it's not true. I mean, we need material things, don't get me wrong, but there's no happiness coming from material things. I mean, you need a house and a car and a phone and money and that. But do you really think happiness comes from a house and a car and a phone? No, it comes from the people in the house or the people in the car, like that, or the people you're talking to on the phone. So it's the people that are important, the relationships, not the material things. But society's sort of going really off track and like that. Whereas here, if you go back in time, the relationships were a lot better. The relationships were a lot deeper, a lot better, a lot more satisfying like that. So they didn't have so many material things, but they had nice, fulfilling relationships like that. So that's one of the glories of modern day society. It's completely rotten. But however, I would say that we don't have to just surrender to that. We can come up with our own society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So that was Prabhupada's whole purpose. He mentions it actually in the Nectar of Instruction that my purpose of creating this society is so that devotees of Krishna can come together and associate with each other, you know. And then the idea is, and then have more satisfying, meaningful, happy relationships and everything like that. And, and interesting when you look at Prabhupada's mantra, we say to the Guru to offer respect, Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamina Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayane Nirvisesha Sundyavadi Paschachari Satane. So that Nirvisesha Sundyavadi means impersonalism and voidism. He came to deliver the West. Paschachar Deshatarane. Paschachar means West, and Desha means place. So the Western place, Western countries, are full of this nirvisesha, impersonalism, sunyavadi, voidism. So that's we riddled. The Western society is riddled with this impersonalism. That there's no God, there's no Krishna's not God, that we're all God. That's impersonal. We think we're all God, or God has no form, which basically means there's no God. Just turn God, and you turn God into just this energy. So basically you just destroyed him. It's just spread everywhere. Oh, Narendra's not a person. He's just spread everywhere. That means there's no Narendra. You've just killed Narendra by spreading him everywhere. So that's another way of killing God, by just saying he's everywhere, like that. So
I have to say though, when you go to India, they seem to still have their family and extended family intact a bit more. When you see them all traveling, like um, four of them on a motorbike together, or they've got like 15 people in a car. You very rarely see just one person in a car traveling on their own, like you do over here, and they seem to be together a lot more than
yeah,
we
so there's
are.
some remnants of the culture there. Yeah, some
Yeah,
remnants are
it's
there.
really
Yeah,
nice to see. It is nice to see.
yeah.
And then, yeah,
Even the 1% or whatever that's left of Vedic culture is very nice.
yeah,
It's
it
a
is
lot
nice.
more than we have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, still some aspects there. Although unfortunately, I'd like to say that they're madly racing after copying the Western society. Narendra could,
Yeah.
verify that or not, but trying to imitate the West. I
Mm.
mean, I've been shocked. Like I remember one time Giant and I did a Harinam somewhere in New South Wales, and there was this Indian mother and daughter sitting on a bench. And we walked right past them and, chanting loudly with the drum and cymbals and everything. It's pretty hard to ignore. Pretty hard to ignore if someone comes up to you with drum and cymbal and singing loudly at the top of their lungs. And they didn't even look at us. They looked down on their feet, and like we didn't exist. Like we don't want to be anywhere near these people, like that. They tried to, if they could have become invisible, they would have. If they had a button where they could have become invisible, you could tell they were so uncomfortable that we walked close to them like that, because they want to be far away from their original culture. That they want to now become a Westerner. They want to not have any of the connections to their Indian past. And many of them, from what Prabhupada explained in that, blame their culture on why they haven't become materially advanced. They blame that culture on why they haven't become materially advanced. So, which is so sad to think like that. Actually, there's a very important purpose why in the Vedic culture, why you purposefully don't become materially advanced and keep your life simple and not be materialistic, because it distracts us from our real mission in life, which is to go back home, back to Godhead. We get so entangled in things. So that it's true in one sense. The culture is set up that you don't become too materially advanced. And it's not because they're stupid that they're not materially advanced. because they didn't want to risk getting entangled by it all. Like even this Shantarasa is detached from sense gratification. Why? Not because it's good. No, it's attached to it because it's bad. Because it's bad. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll and all this stuff, big skyscrapers and everything is bad for us. Because we forget our real purpose in life to get out of the material world. We think, oh, I'm quite comfortable here. I'm quite happy here. I can stay here. But I'm sorry, mate. Actually, you can't. The problem is you can't stay here. Even if you could be comfortable and happy, which even then you can't. And I just saw on the news, one friend sent me, there's this news that so many volcanoes are erupting like yesterday and today all around the world. There's this whole chain of volcanoes, boom, boom, starting throwing stuff up in the air and clouds of smoke and
Demons
fire.
are taking birth.
It's a really bad sign, really bad sign. So you might try to be, you're in your, mansion house, but if a bloody volcano blows up in your backyard, so that's, although you try to be comfortable, the material world, is not set up for us to remain comfortable like
Actually,
that.
even in Auckland, many Indians, this is not about Harinam or something also. Some Indians, like you're saying, no, they don't want to do anything with anything Indian.
Yeah.
So even if they pass an Indian, they'll just look as though you don't exist. And I came across many this time in Auckland. I mean, usually also I come across, but this time there were many Indians are there now. But it's sad, that why they are like that.
Yeah.
I think they are not taught. I mean, it's like, it's not just it happened today. It's been happening for a while because
Oh yeah.
going away from the teacher. That's what is happening. So they don't
Well,
know.
it even started before when the British were ruling. They programmed the Indians that anything Indian is third class and anything from England is first class. So, and they rubbished their culture so much, and that just was for like 200 years or so like that. And the whole education system also wasn't Indians weren't even encouraged to get educated. They wanted them to be Sudras and just work hard for the English masters and everything. So there's been programmed in them that your culture is just useless and that, and they burnt all their philosophy and everything and like that. So it's not surprising, but it's unfortunate. And that's why it's said one of the characteristics of Kali Yuga is that people are unfortunate.
Yeah, I
We're
think
very
it's
unfortunate.
200 years. If you go back, I mean, it's been deteriorating for quite a while. I mean, look at the society, they are going away from, they don't understand the real meaning of Bhagavad Gita. It's just, very superficial. So it's like, it has happened yesterday or 200 years ago. It's been happening. So because the kind of society we used to be in, say 500 years ago or say 700 years ago, it's not the same. The education system is not same. The value system is not same because, and then the other thing is you look at outside, you're attracted to outside. And usually what happens, you look at the things which you don't have, the thing you have, you don't put any value on it. We call, there is a saying in India, ghar ki murgi dal bara, means if it's like, if you cook dal inside, if you cook, if you have too much, say chicken, then you don't value it. Or if you have too much of anything, you don't value it.
Yeah.
But since we didn't, and then you look out, I think this is universal. What you don't have, you look for it. It's not India. It's, you go America as well. They're trying to invent something new. They want to create something. They want to stand out. They want to be different. So that kind of, and that's what the whole trap is. You'll never be satisfied.
Yeah, Westerners are very attracted. A lot of Westerners are very attracted to Indian culture.
Yeah,
very attractive.
Some of them understand the real meaning of it, but most of them, I mean, if the material happiness would have then Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, people who have a lot of money, they will be like happy, like they will be like Krishna, but they are not. They have the same problems. They are saying it's not like I think God has made this system. If you want something in this world, you will be never satisfied. Even if you get anything material, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
definitely.
but that,
Yeah.
it's just
It's
going to
said that Maya's actually her business is to give the opposite of what you want. You get the opposite of what you want. And what do you want? You want to be happy. So you get the opposite of that. What's that?
I mean, yes, it's if simple things you can look at it. You want one car, then you want bigger car, you want a bigger house, and all those kind of things. They keeps increasing. I mean, the whole purpose of I think God's system is to frustrate you because once you're oh, I already have it. I don't. Yeah, this is rubbish now. So his system is like that too. So that at the end of it, you say, I've been trying for years, 60 years I've spent, and I'm not happy. Why?
Yeah.
This is not giving. So that's the whole purpose. That's what I think is the whole purpose of this system is you
Sure.
in illusion. You'll never be happy permanently.
Yeah.
So that system, he's got a system where it teaches you. And that's why people, when they're back is towards the wall, then they realize, then they look for other avenues. Then it's like that's a blessing. Then you look for it. Why? What's happening to me? And then they start exploring. So his system is like that. It's good system. I think that's what he does to people, that they start looking at. Oh, what is the real world? I'm not happy anymore. So it's his system is very, very good. I mean, in terms of, but some people take time, some people, inquisitive, try to find out things. So, but it's all good. I mean, I think, but everyone is looking for happiness. At the end of the day, what are you looking for? Everything you're doing in the day or years, what are you doing? You want to be happy and peaceful, right? That's the ultimate aim. It's not about money. It's the happiness. And the real knowledge comes from scripture. I mean, the benefactor who manufactured this world, he knows how you can permanently become happy. And that's where the scriptures, it's amazing. The Maya is so strong that we just can't get out of it. It's just, if you're lucky, we are lucky that we are reading the scriptures today. We know 1% of it, but at least we are in the right direction, I guess. Someday, yes, it'll happen.
Definitely, we're becoming very fortunate by the mercy of
very
Guru and Krishna. We read that a while ago. Guru Krishna Prasadipaya Bhakti Lata Bija. That the soul wandering in the universes for all different Brahmanda, Brahmate, Kona, Bhagavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasadipaya Bhakti Lata Bija. So the soul is like wandering through the Brahmanda, through the universe and different species of life. And if they're fortunate, Bhagavan Jiva, then they get Guru Krishna Prasad, the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna, and then they get the seed from them of the bhakti, the seed of loving service. So we've all been blessed to get some mercy. Now we just have to take the mercy. And this, like us getting together and reading these instructions and pastimes is definitely taking the mercy. This is taking the mercy. Okay, let's read another one. 223. Kande chade kande shadaya kare kridarana Krishna seve Krishna karaya apana sevana. Bhakti Mala, you want to read that one?
On the Sankhya Rasa platform, the devotee sometimes offers the Lord service and sometimes makes Krishna serve him in exchange. In their mock fighting, the cowherd boys would sometimes climb on Krishna's shoulders and sometimes they would make Krishna climb on their shoulders.
So that's confirmation of what Narendra was asking. So definitely they're not thinking that he's God. Otherwise you wouldn't do that. So so sometimes they're serving Krishna and sometimes Krishna's serving them. And that's friendship. That's what friendship is. It's not just a one-way thing. It's sometimes I serve you and then you serve me. just like equals, like that. But however, in the material world, we have what we call familiarity breeds contempt. But here in the spiritual world, it's not there.
Yeah, it's
There's
just
none of that. There's none of that. You know, if you get too close to someone, then you start to have bad feelings towards them, or we'll like take them for granted. But here, this is not going to happen. Just because they're riding on Krishna's back, it doesn't mean they're taking him for granted. There is so much respect and love always there in the background. And like I said, they have that understanding that Krishna's enjoying that I'm riding on his back. And they wouldn't be doing it if Krishna's not pleased, you know. So there's definitely none of that. What we tend to happen is that we tend to lose the respect and you know, take for granted people that we get close to. But there's that's not happening here.
and that's probably not happening even between between the coward boys themselves.
Correct.
Because here in the material world, okay, you might not, once you know, okay, somebody is the president, for instance, you know, okay, you're not becoming the president, so you'll be okay with him being the president. But then the the competition starts with the people in your same category, because you want to be better than them, or you want to be noticed by, say, the president, or you know what I'm saying. So then they try and pull the other person down. Yeah. So the animosity is not actually with Krishna, but it might be. I mean, I'm not saying it is there between the coward boys, but at least in the material world, between equals, there might be a sense of animosity or competition.
Yeah.
At times. Yeah.
So we are saying that between the cowherd boys, they have a different relationship than between Krishna and the cowherd.
No, I'm not saying.
No, she's not saying that. No.
So
However, there is Chandravali's group and Radharani's group, which have some competition.
No, I was going to say that there is competition in the spiritual world, but it's a different kind of competition. It's a competition to please Krishna more. Who can please Krishna more? However, the difference in the competition is that you never try to pull anyone else down, whereas that's what material life's all about. That is pulling others down. That's what we call, envy. So there's an absence of that envy in the spiritual world. That everyone's trying to do their very best to please Krishna. And if you see someone else please Krishna, wow, that's amazing. Look at what they've done to please Krishna. I want to do more than that. So they want to do even more, but they're not have any bad feelings towards that person that's serving Krishna better than them, like that. But it gives them inspiration that, oh, they can do it. They can please Krishna. I also can do. Let me do too. I also can do, like that. So they get encouragement that someone's doing very well. That's a sign you can do it. Let me also do. Whereas if we see someone doing well, we get jealous or envious and we want to drag them down and take their place or whatever. But in the spiritual world, that pulling others down and, criticizing or whatever like that, that's not there. You just get inspiration from other devotees that are doing very well, and you get inspiration. You think, I also can do well, like that. And here we have such a what do you call that? What do you call that? What's the word for that? When you go that thinking there's not enough scarcity. We have a scarcity kind of mindset. Whereas in the spiritual world, there's none of that scarcity kind of, because we think, well, there's only one position for that job. So I have to remove the guy that has that job so I can take the position. But in the spiritual world, there's no scarcity. There's unlimited opportunities. Like I said, Krishna can have thousands of wives, and it's no problem because Krishna can expand himself and to be with every wife at the same time. Whereas in the material world, that's not there. So you have to like fight to get the position and kick everyone else away. But in the spiritual world, Krishna can just expand himself unlimitedly, like that. Krishna's doing Rasa-lila, and it's just, I mean, it seems like, it's Krishna, which is one person, right, dancing with a whole heap of girls. So how's that going to be very satisfying for that whole heap of girls? There's one Krishna and, 10,000 girls. But Krishna can expand himself to be dancing with every girl at the same time. And then that's very satisfying, obviously, for all those gopis like that. So there's no need to like push anyone away in the spiritual world because there's just everyone has an equal chance and opportunity to have that relationship with Krishna and to do that service. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, generally, whatever's here in the material world is in the spiritual world too. So, I mean, here we have competition. So, yeah, there is competition there also, but without any negative aspects. So, all the things that are in the spiritual world, they don't have any negative aspects that they have, here. So, here we have lust. But in the spiritual world, there's a kind of lust, but there's no negative aspects because the lust is for Krishna. They have lust means you have a desire, right? So there, but the lust, the desire is to please Krishna. So there's nothing negative in that. It's a very positive thing. They're lusty for Krishna. They just have a strong desire to satisfy Krishna's senses. But technically, you don't call that lust. Technically, we call that love. That's prema. So here we call lust as calm, lust, and then the spiritual world is praying, love. But it's really the same thing, lust, but just directed towards Krishna rather than trying to please our own senses. So here in the material, we want to please our own senses, whereas in the spiritual world, we want to please Krishna's senses. And like that. And even anger doesn't have to be necessarily bad. We know that Hanuman became famous and glorified by getting so angry against Ravana and all of his family for taking Sita away from Ram. He was so angry and that he half burnt Lanka to the ground even before Ram went there. The only reason why he completely didn't destroy everything because he wanted to leave Ram something to do, and but he was so angry like that. But no one's going to criticize Hanuman for getting angry in that scenario. It's actually a very good thing because if you love someone and someone's hurting them, are you going to tolerate that and be peaceful? No, what kind of love you have, If someone's like beating up your children or your wife, Narendra, are you just going to stand there and be peaceful, Shanti? What's your wife and kids going to think if you don't react?
I think that's in her. I mean, that's like animals. They have that's the instinct God has created in everyone. If somebody comes and physically try to harm you, you automatically, you protect yourself. That's there. I mean, that's not something you have to cultivate. It's like there,
Yeah,
inherently there. So it's automatic. You don't need to because.
Well, we're talking about protecting others, but yeah, you definitely protect yourself. But that's actually a sign of love, if someone that you love is getting hurt and you're going to protect them, and that's because why are you doing that? Because you love, and in order to protect them, we have to hurt the person that's hurting them, so, but your actual purpose is to, protect the person that you love like that. So in that scenario, it's a good quality to get angry, like that. Mm. But yeah, so the Sakyarasa platform, they're definitely not thinking that Krishna's God. So this is Yoga Maya in action. Yoga Maya is in action. So in the spiritual world, there's another illusory energy, but there it's working to make the devotee forget that Krishna's God. And they're going to make him, instead of that, they're going to make him think that Krishna's my friend, or Krishna's my parent, I mean, my child or my lover, like that. And also, Yogamaya is working on Krishna to make Krishna forget that he's God, like that. Otherwise, he can't fully relish that experience either if he's think we've got the God hat on, if he's got his God hat on. Interesting, huh? Like I said, like I mentioned that when all of his friends walked into Agasura, into his mouth, it said that momentarily he became like stunned and bewildered, and he became amazed at the power of his illusory energy. So why is that? Because his God hat was taken off like that.
Or he was acting, if I go directly and fix everything, people they will think differently, And so he was like acting like humans, when you say, it's like, oh, something is bad happening, but then he helped them. So he probably acting as, just like others,
Yeah.
or being stunned, what is to start with, Otherwise, it will be like, oh, he's not scared of anything. Anyway, I mean, that's another, I guess.
But the point is that he's enjoying
Yeah.
tasting that role of not being God and what we normally think of God, the all-knowing controller and like that. So like I said, that just like that politician was enjoying just being a horse for his grandkid. He just doesn't, it's like, why do you just want to be a politician all the time, 24/7? It's like boring. I just want to be a horse for my grandkid. It's just a lot of fun. So he just wants to have fun like that, not no formal kind of relationships and stuff like that. So also, Krishna's tasting that.
Actually, in that Kalia pastime, the different, I mean, the devotees in those different mellows, they exhibit different reactions to seeing Kalia go, I mean, to see Krishna go to Kalia, right? I'm just wondering because, like, the coward boys are thinking, oh, yeah, he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Whereas Yashodama and Nanda Maharaj are like fainting and crying and
Yeah.
everything.
Mm.
Isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, I was just thinking, so the mellows actually have a different kind of, it's a different kind of reaction that they show.
Yeah. So she's pointing out the pastime where this poisonous serpent Kalia had poisoned the Yamuna, and then the calves that drank the water and the coward boys, they died from the poison, and then Krishna brought them all back to life by glancing over them. And then he jumped in the water and started fighting with Kali. And he was dancing on his hoods, pushing them down. And everyone's like on the bank looking at this amazing pastime. And Jaine's pointing out that they reacted or responded in different ways depending on their rasa. So if the parents of Krishna, they responded in just completely horror, horror. That's actually called bibatsa. I think bibatsa rasa. That's a secondary. So there's 5 primary rasas, but there's 7 secondary. So one of the secondary ones is called, I think, bibhatsa, which means like shock, horror, kind of, complete terror, like that. So they were in that rasa, as parents, that's such shock and horror that my child is like, fighting with this terrible snake demon, like that serpent. And they were like, well, the mother fainted, and the father, Nanda, he tried to jump in the water, and there's about 10 coward men that are holding on his arms and legs and everything, trying to stop him, from going in there because it's poisonous, right? He'll die. you know, so he doesn't care though. He just got to save his son. I'm the father. I have to save my kid, you know, so he's trying to jump in and all the other guys having to drag him back. And then, and the coward boys, they were the same age as Krishna, are just like watching, like, oh yeah, Krishna's gonna deal with him. Oh yeah, you get him, Krishna. You know, it's like that. So they're enjoying, you know, like chivalry kind of thing. You know, like that's called Virya Rasa. Yeah, come on, give him a good beating, you know, like that. So they're just saying it's all fun. So it's fun for the coward boys, you know, terror for the parents, like that. And you know, the coward girls, I mean, they would have been very afraid. They would have been very.
But that's not mentioned, I don't think, what their reaction was.
No, I don't think it's mentioned like that. Yeah, but yeah, depending on your rasa, then you have different feelings come up, and it's all part of the variety, you know. That's building up the ecstasy for it. And then after Krishna was just playing around, dancing on Kaliya for it's mentioned like a long time, like an hour or something. But then he noticed that the devotees are just, some of them are just, it was torturing them too much watching. So then he just, okay, I'll just finish him off now. So then he just, so then he really like beat him to a pulp, like just standing on his heads, and he nearly died. This Kalia nearly died. And then the wives of the serpent stepped in. So that's interesting rasa too, because there, you know, that's his, he's their husband. So all the wives, he had many wives, they come in the scene and like offer prayers to Krishna, you know, and then finally in the prayers say, can you please not kill our husband? We like need him. He's our husband, you know, like that. And Krishna's says, yep, no problem. But we have to evict him from this area. He's not allowed to come into Yamuna anymore. And Prabhupada said that he went to Fiji, so not sure, but he was evicted. He was evicted from Bharatavarsha, from India, and was kicked out. And interestingly, that because he had big problems with Narayan's carrier Garuda, because you know eagles love to eat snakes, so his whole species had been gobbled up, so many of them by Garuda. So no, that was him, Kalia. And then with Subari Muni, that was the previous one. And but Krishna said you won't have to worry about Garuda, because now when Garuda sees you've got my footprint on your head, because Krishna had been dancing right on his heads. So Krishna's footprint was like remaining on his heads. So when Garuda sees my footprint on your head, then out of respect for my footprint, he won't eat you. So he sent him away, but said, look, don't worry, you know, everything will be all right, but just get out of here. Don't come back. Like that. So that's interesting, just all the different rasas there.
Maybe we could evict Kalia and send him to Fiji then.
He'd probably like it there, a nice warm place. When you're old, just want to be in a nice warm place. He can eat coconuts and mangoes.
This isn't recording. This is recording. Oops.
That is recording it. That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone want to say anything about any of that? Anything comes to mind? Any questions or comments? Or a little bit over time.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining in. Hare Krishna. Have a lovely week.
Yeah.
Take care.
See you soon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.